New champions, stolen titles, surprise attacks, and a continuing invasion. Of course, we're talking about NXT Battleground live from the USC Apex in Las Vegas, Nevada. Let's get to it. This is About Last Night on Rumble Rewind. Well, hey, thanks for stopping by Rumble Rewind. I'm Brandon. This is About Last Night. We're talking about all things NXT Battleground. Before we get to it, let me ask you to do me a quick favor. Scroll right below this video, hit that like button because I know you're going to love it. While you're down there, if you're not already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Once we hit our first 200 subscribers, we will be giving away a WWE t-shirt and hat to one lucky subscriber. So you've got to be subscribed to be eligible. If you want all of the information as it comes available, hit those notifications so you never miss an upload and help us get there quicker. Share this video with somebody who you think would enjoy the content. All right, let's get into the night. We've got quite a few really good matches to talk about. First up was the match for the Women's North American Championship. Now, of course, this was a ladder match featuring Sol Ruca, Jada Parker, Kalani Jordan, Fallon Henley, Michin, and Lash Legend. Whoever wins is the first Women's North American Champion. My pick for this, if you watch my predictions and preview video, was Sol Ruca. Now, if you didn't watch that video, you can see it right here. I would encourage you to check it out. I thought that Sol was going to win it. Now, as I watched more of the stuff leading up to this match, my preference, the choice, who I wanted to win was Fallon Henley. I really enjoy the work that she's doing right now, the way that she's changed her character, the way she came out last night was just, it's a whole new Fallon Henley, and I'm here for it. I want to see her. I expect to see her do great things in the coming weeks. Now, the actual winner ended up being Kalani Jordan. And if I had to rank the likelihood of who was going to win that championship, I would have put Kalani at number 6 on the list. Now, that's nothing against Kalani. I would have put her at the bottom, not taking anything away from her. She is an incredible athlete. She has a ton of upside. I just don't know that she's championship ready. I think that her in-ring work is amazing. And just like as we saw in this match, she did some great things. And I hope she proves me wrong. But I will say this, the match itself was amazing. It was high-paced from the beginning, and there were so many crazy spots. At one point, Sol Ruca hit a soul snatcher off the ladder. That move is getting more and more versatile, and it's kind of become the next level of the RKO, I think. She can kind of hit it from anywhere. At one point, the other 5 women teamed up on Lash Legend and threw her over the top rope like a javelin onto a ladder. It looked brutal and it looked painful, but Lash took it like a champ. Again, this match was just filled with excitement. I would encourage you to go and find it. Now, here's where I think we go from here, right? We've got Sol Ruca, we've got Fallon Henley, we've got Lash Legend. I think all 3 of these women are ready to move into the NXT Women's title picture. They may not be ready to win it, but they're definitely ready to be in the conversation. They're definitely ready to fill out the holes at the top of the card. They're ready to help boost that division a little bit more and create some more opportunity for good rivalries and good storytelling. As far as Michin goes, I think she's going to head back to SmackDown. Her time at NXT was great. I actually thought she could have won the NXT North American Championship because of the fact that she's on SmackDown. She could have taken it with her. She could have kind of talked about that belt a little bit more while she's over there and brought some eyes over to NXT to get more people watching. But I think it's time for her to head back to SmackDown. I'm curious to see how things go with her and what she does in this OC storyline that's brewing, if anything. And then you have Jada Parker. Jada Parker is going to be great. She's going to be incredible. She's got really good charisma. She connects with the crowd, although there were not very many Miss Parker chants last night, and that was very surprising. But I think she's going to make a great rival for Kalani. I would love to see, coming out of this match, the 2 of them kind of begin a rivalry, a back and forth, where Jada's trying to get that title off of Kalani. All right, overall, I would give this match an 8.5 out of 10. For me, it was definitely the most entertaining and most captivating match of the night. Maybe not the best overall match, but definitely the most fun match of the night to watch. So if you're trying to decide, I would say go out of your way to see that one if you can. Next up, we would get the tag team champions, Nathan Frazer and Axiom, defending against Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, the Good Brothers from the OC. Now, my pick on this one was Frazer and Axiom, and that's what I wanted to see. And that's what happened. Fraser and Axiom do end up retaining their titles, and this was another great match. It was between two very, very experienced tag teams, which made it even better. One of the things that I really enjoyed was seeing Fraser and Axiom debut this new finisher. It was actually a super Spanish fly followed up with a Phoenix Splash, and that's how they got the win. The match itself was pretty good, even though it was a bit predictable. Fraser and Axiom get the win over the veterans, and then Gallows and Anderson, this allowed them to get some more in-ring time. Vic said last night that it had been years since they've been on a PLE, so it was good to see those guys kind of back on a PLE, back on a more high-profile stage. I hope that continues to happen for them, and I hope something happens with the OC over on SmackDown where they can kind of reestablish that thing with AJ and get the ball rolling on the OC. There's a lot of potential there, and I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes between now and Clash at the Castle, which happens next week. Now, from here, I really, really hope that we begin to see more NXT teams get featured and less main roster involvement happening. We've got a tag team division on NXT that has the potential to be truly stacked. It's kind of loaded, and they just need to build these teams up. I mean, if you think about it, they've got teams like OTM with Jada Parker, Bronco Nima, Lucian Price. Those guys have some major potential. They're great in the ring, and if they have Jada as the mouthpiece, man, this faction could really go places. We've got Malik Blade and Idris Enofe. They've been on this kind of losing streak lately, and that's part of the story, but they can turn that thing around and all of a sudden establish them as competitors. We've got Chase U. There's Riley Osborne and Duke Hudson who have been tagging a lot. We've got Gallus as well, who needs something to do. They used to be dominant tag team champions. Let's get them moving. Let's move them forward again and really build up this tag team division. We don't need teams coming from Raw. We don't need teams coming from SmackDown. Let's use these NXT teams and build up this division and make it really, really solid. Overall, I would give this match a 7 out of 10. It was good, it wasn't great. There were some fun spots to watch, and overall, it's not one that I would say, hey, skip it, but at the same time, it's not one that I would say, go out of your way to see it. 7 out of 10 for me, but that's just my opinion. Tell me what you think. What do you think so far? Give me a rating for the ladder match and for the tag team title match. All right, next up, we would get the NXT Underground match. Lola Vice taking on Shayna Baszler. My pick for this one, against the grain, might I add, was Lola Vice. Lola was also my choice. I wanted to see her win, and she, in fact, did. Now, for me, this is the best NXT Underground match that I've personally ever seen. I've heard that there were some better ones back when like Matt Riddle was wrestling in those, but I wasn't watching NXT back then, so I didn't see them. I may go out of my way to see some of them now that I've seen this and the potential of an NXT Underground match, but this one really had me going for most of the match. Several times I thought the match was going to end, and I bought into these false finishes. There was one point where Lola hit Shayna with the spinning back fist for what I thought was going to be the win, but then Shayna ended up falling out of the ring, and that's when I found out that they have to be in the ring to get the win. So I thought that was going to be the reason that she lost. I thought Shayna was going to kind of come back from that because she didn't fall in the ring, and so there was some more drama to that I bought into. So all that to say that there was a lot of great action and great drama in this one. This match was basically made for these women because of their MMA background. They brought legitimacy to the match, and they did it really, really well. They sold it well. They carried it out well. It was just all around really, really well put together. Now, like I said in my predictions video, I thought that this was going to be Lola Vice's coming out party. Like, this was going to be her opportunity to show that she had the stuff. She has what it takes to be an NXT main eventer. And now I believe that she has. And she's going to be a main roster superstar in the future. Not right now. She's not ready for that right now. But she is ready to kind of move towards that NXT main event scene. I don't think she's ready to be the NXT Women's Champion. Her in-ring work is really, really good. Her mic work is pretty good. It could be a little smoother, but she's definitely ready to be on the bubble, in that circle, and in that conversation. I think it's a little bit of time still before she's ready to actually hold the title to be the face of the brand, but the more time she has in the ring with people who are in that level, the more time she gets on camera to go back and forth with people who are on that level, the quicker she will prepare. And I think that's her next step, and I really, really hope that it is. Now, on the other hand, we've got Shayna Baszler. I don't know what to do with Shayna Baszler. She's such a great athlete. Her in-ring work is awesome, but I just don't see her now, nor have I ever seen her as a headliner. I think she's great in a tag team, and I think that she would be even better as the enforcer of a faction. And to be honest with you, that's why I hope that the Sonya Deville thing that's going on Raw will turn into something that allows Shayna to be featured in a way that celebrates her skill set. And if you don't know what I'm talking about with that, check out my Raw recap video right here where we talked about the potential of this Shayna Baszler, Sonya Deville, Natalya, Zoe Stark faction that seems to be on the horizon over on Raw. I think that's the best spot for Shayna, would be something like that. I could be wrong. Maybe there's some good creative plans for her coming out of this. I hope so. I want to see everybody in the WWE succeed. I just don't know what to do with Shayna Baszler. She just doesn't fit any of the stories that I see currently really working. All right, for this match though, I'm going to give this one an 8.25 out of 10. It was a great match, and it's one of the ones I would encourage you to go check out, track it down. If you haven't seen an NXT Underground match, or if you've only seen bad ones, go watch this one, because this one will show you the potential of what an NXT Underground match could and should be. Let's move on to the triple threat match for the Men's North American Championship. It would be Obafemi defending his title against Wes Lee and Joe Coffey. Now, my pick for this match was Joe Coffey. My choice for this match was Joe Coffey, and they went with Obafemi. Obafemi gets the win in a decent match that had an awesome finish. Of course, Gallus got involved in a way that you would expect, but Femi's comeback from there to the end of the match was great. He kind of snuck up behind the two of them, attacked them, cleared them from ringside. Then he gets into the ring. Wes Lee tries to hit him with a Meteora, but Obafemi counters it into one of the most brutal power bombs that I've seen in a long time. It literally looked like he was about to put Wes Lee through the ring. And then from there, Joe Coffey came at him and he hit him with a pop-up powerbomb, and that's how he got the win. Now, I really wanted Coffey to get the win here. I really want to see a Joe Coffey title run. I suspect he's got the makings of a great champion, but we still haven't got to see it yet. Now, later in the night, Gallus would actually attack Wes Lee, so it looks like there's a story happening there. I'm for it. I think it's going to be great. I love the idea of Wes Lee being up against the odds, up against the numbers game, having to get some people to come help him. In fact, I talked about that in my predictions video about how I thought it could go from there. I just think the story would be so much better if it involved the NXT North American Championship. And Obafemi, let's talk about him. He continues to shine in every opportunity. This guy is way better at pro wrestling than he should be, given his amount of experience. I'm not sure when, but he's got to move up into that main event scene soon. It's thin at the top. We need more NXT main eventers to rise up, and I think Obafemi is ready for that. I will say this, we need to see a little bit more of who Obafemi is though. I'm trying to decide, is this guy a face or is he a heel? I feel like he's a natural heel given his size and general demeanor, but right now he's kind of giving face. But I think if he went full heel, he could be a truly great rival for Trick Williams once we get a little further down the road. He's got to do some things in between here and there to kind of move in that direction. But I do think that if we get an eventual Trick Williams-Obafemi rivalry, it's going to be really good, and I hope it happens sooner than later. For the match itself, though, I'm going to give this one a 7 out of 10. It was good. It wasn't great. Just like the tag team match, it was good. There's a lot of really good in-ring action, things like that. But it wasn't anything that I was like, oh, you have to see this. You can't miss it. It wasn't anything can't miss. So I would say if you're watching the whole PLE, great, watch it. Don't skip it. But at the same time, don't go and purchase a Peacock subscription so you can see this triple threat match. All right, moving on to the next match of the night, we would see Roxanne Perez defending her NXT Women's Championship against TNA Knockouts champion Jordynne Grace. My pick for this one was Roxanne Perez. I thought she was going to retain one way or the other. Didn't necessarily know who was going to win, but I did think that Roxanne Perez would retain. That was also my choice. I wanted Roxanne Perez to retain, and that's what we got. And still, Roxanne Perez. This was another great match with so much more added to it. Roxanne is really crushing it with this whole slippery heel role that she's got. She's snuck away from getting a beat down by Jordynne last week on NXT. She kind of snuck out of Jordynne's finisher a couple of times tonight. I think Jordynne Grace went for the Juggernaut driver like 4 times, and Roxanne was able to just slip out of it every time. This is her character that she's doing so well, just being this slippery little heel that everybody wants to get their hands on, but just can't quite get a hold of her. Now, later in the match, Tatum Paxley made an appearance and tried to steal the TNA Knockouts Championship. I was hoping that she would steal the Women's North American Championship, but hey, this was just as fun. She did take the TNA Knockouts title from the Timekeeper, went to leave the ringside area when she was attacked by Ash by Elegance, which if someone can you explain that name to me? Like seriously, I don't get it. It sounds like perfume. Is she a perfume? Anyway, Ash by Elegance, FKA Dana Brooke, came out to stop Tatum from stealing the TNA Women's Championship. Jordynne Grace leaves the ring and attacks both of them. So I don't know what the story is going on over on TNA between Ash by Elegance and Jordynne Grace. Maybe there's a rivalry there I'm just not aware of. I don't watch TNA currently, so I'm not really up on the storylines, but maybe there's a rivalry there, which is why Jordynne attacked her instead of saying, I don't know, thank you. But anyway, this distraction allowed Roxanne to recover. Jordynne Grace comes back into the ring, tries for yet another Juggernaut driver. Perez somehow counters it into like a RKO or cutter sort of thing, and then hits the Pop Rocks to get the pin and the win. Now, like I said, the match itself was awesome, and truly the finish was the right choice. It plays into Roxanne's character. It allows her to retain the title in some weird fashion so that Jordynne still looks strong, but the NXT championship doesn't leave the brand. So where do we go from here? First, Roxanne's gonna go to the main roster at some point in the near future. I was surprised that she didn't move up in the draft. I honestly thought she was gonna lose the NXT championship in her last title defense and then move to Raw or SmackDown. She thought that on screen. And there's been this rivalry between her and Ava as a result of her not moving to Raw or SmackDown. She's gonna go up at some point. NXT has got to quickly move some women up the card. I believe that Roxanne is still on NXT because they didn't have anybody to carry the brand and carry the title when they moved everybody to the main roster. So tell me in the comments, who do you think should be the next champion? Who do you think Roxanne's next challenge is? I really want to see NXT become capable of sustaining these PLEs and big match moments from within. They're getting there again. The top of their card just got moved to the main roster and they're recovering, but they're doing it well. It just takes time, but they need to keep moving forward in that. So I would love to see probably somebody like Sol Ruca feud with Roxanne. I don't want to put Fallon in that spot because she's a heel. Lash has kind of become a tweener, so it could be a little bit confusing. I like Lash more as a heel with Metaphor. So I think Sol Ruca is probably the next really good challenger for Roxanne as we look at who's on NXT right now. Now, as far as Jordynne Grace, she only gains from this experience. She only gains from this appearance because now people are more aware of who she is. They're more aware of TNA. It probably brings eyes to the product, and she looked strong in defeat. She got distracted. Somebody was stealing the TNA Knockouts Championship, which on NXT this past week, she talked about how important it was to her. And so it made sense that she would leave the ring to make sure it doesn't get away from her, if you will. But I am more curious about the future of these kind of crossover type moments. Honestly, though, I hope that they're rare. I hope that they are rare. When Jordynne Grace popped up a couple weeks ago on NXT, it felt like a huge deal. And it did great things for both companies. It showed people who TNA wrestling was, and it allowed WWE to work outside of the company and bridge some gaps between some of these other wrestling promotions. I think that's good that they can do some crossovers. They can borrow some stars here and there if they need it. They can send some down if they need it, especially as it relates to NXT. If any of the NXT superstars show up on TNA, it's only going to help grow the audience of NXT. And so it does great things, but at the end of the day, they slow down what's going on. They slow down the development in-house. They slow down the storyline. They feel like side quests that slow down the main story. And so I'm okay with them from time to time, but I do hope that they become something that's a bit more rare and not the norm. Tell me what you think. How much do you like these crossovers? What do you think about the partnership with WWE and TNA? And how do you hope that continues in the future? As far as this match goes, though, I'm going to call it match of the night. I'm going to give it 8.75 out of 10. It was a great match. It should have been the main event, to be honest with you. And if Jordynne Grace was part of NXT and there was a real shot that Roxanne could lose that title, then I probably would have given it a 9 or a 9.25. The in-ring action was that good, but for me, the outcome was never in any actual doubt. So, tell me your thoughts, though. How would you rate this match? And how do you feel about these crossovers? All right, the actual main event was for the NXT Championship. We would see Trick Williams taking on the newcomer Ethan Page. My pick, Trick. My choice, Trick. And the winner, whoop that trick. The whoop that era continues. Now, this match surprised me with the clean finish. I it felt like I knew the outcome. In my predictions video, I thought that we would see some sort of distraction, some sort of interference, something like that, maybe even a disqualification. It was Ethan Page's first match after they've announced him as this huge signing. It was Trick's first title defense. Making them both look good was a must. They had to make Trick look like a strong champion, but they had to make Ethan Page look legit. And in this match, they accomplished both things. They gave him a good bit of time, and it made both men look like great competitors. Now, late in the match, Ethan Page would go for his finisher. Trick kicked out. Page argued with the ref about the count and then attacked Trick Williams in the corner. The ref would pull Page off of Trick, which would lead to more arguing between the two of them, and that is when Trick was able to catch Ethan Page with the trick shot and get the win. For me, this match was about an 8 out of 10. It was a great match. Both men looked good coming out of it. They looked strong. They looked like good, solid competitors. Neither one of them really lost anything from the match. Now, Ethan Page has a bit of an out, and I'm sure we're going to hear about that on Tuesday because of the argument with the ref, because of the distraction. The truth is, though, there is so much room at the top of NXT right now. The question is, where do we go from here? My first guess is that we're going to get a return match between Ethan Page and Trick Williams, but I think that's probably going to be a little ways down the road because I still think Trick is the guy that's going to hold this title for a little while. I also think that Ethan Page may be the guy that takes it off of him unless they have main roster plans for him and just we're doing a test here. But again, like I said, there's so much room at the top, so where do we go from here? Because we saw Wesley, Joe Coffey, they're both guys that could be competitors, but they both lost tonight. So that hurts their stock, and they've kind of started this story with each other, so that's going to take a little while. We've got Noam Dar, who was kind of on his way to getting a match with Trick Williams when all these attacks started, but Noam's been a comedy character for so long. Is he even really a contender? Then you've got Obafemi, but he's still the North American champion. He could try to do some sort of title versus title thing like we saw with Logan Paul and Cody Rhodes, but I just don't think that that's in the cards because NXT's roster is very deep, and I think that it's good to keep those two championships separate, just to have more opportunities for more high-profile matches. So tell me in the comments, though, who do you think should be Trick Williams' next challenger? Like I said, the roster's deep. I just don't think that there's anybody that's really ready to take that next step outside of an Obafemi or someone that's in that upper level like Wesley, Joe Coffey. But again, we've got to continue to move those stories forward and see where they go. All right, for the overall show, I'm going to say this was a great show. Honestly, it was an 8 out of 10. It met my expectations. It didn't exceed them, but it definitely met the expectations that I had for it. And it's definitely worth watching, especially if you already have Peacock. Just go check it out. As far as the venue goes, I thought it was cool that they used the UFC Apex. It was a great idea, and it looked really, really good on screen and on camera at first, but it was too small for the event. It was too small for NXT, maybe a regular taping, but for a PLE, I think they should have used a larger venue. The barricades were actually really, really close to the ring. Vic Joseph and Booker T talked about it throughout the night, and you could see it, especially in the ladder match. Those barricades were so close to the ring that some of those bigger spots really made me nervous that someone was going to get seriously injured. Now, we did have Sexy Red as the host, and I just feel like she didn't add much to the show. And I'm not really a fan of PLEs having these type of hosts, but I do understand it. When they use people like a Sexy Red or even Snoop Dogg at WrestleMania, they're people that have these massive followings, and it can bring more eyes to the product. So I get it. I get why they would do it. It just as a pure wrestling fan who's here for the show, who's here because I love NXT, it doesn't do anything for me. I'm happy the product gets more exposure. I'm happy that more people will be aware of it. But for me, it just feels like a distraction. I don't love it. Other than that, I know I say this all the time. I love NXT. This brand is cooking, especially given the fact that they just lost so many of their top superstars. They've continued to move forward. They've continued to cook. They've continued to produce great stories. And I love to see NXT doing that. This show, fun fact, actually featured more women than it did men, which I believe is the first time that's ever happened, at least in WWE's history. So for me, I see that as a huge thing. It's awesome to see women's wrestling being taken seriously, the women being given time to tell good stories through their matches. WWE talks about being in this new era, and it's things like that signal me as a fan to say, like, yes, this is true. They are taking it seriously. They are in a new era, and the opportunities that people are being given are really endless, and they're really given the chance to shine, and I love to see that. All right, so I would love to know your thoughts. Tell me in the comments below, which match would you call match of the night? What follow-up are you hoping to see this week on NXT, and how would you rate Battleground overall? Well, hey, that is it for today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me a bit on Rumble Rewind. Before you go, if you haven't already, scroll down below this video and leave a like. You obviously liked it. You're still here. We're still doing this. So just hit the button. Just hit the button. Anyway, while you're down there, go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you're not already, because like I said, at 200 subscribers, we will be doing that giveaway, and I would love for you to be eligible if you want to stay up to date with all the information about that and never miss an upload here on the channel. Make sure you turn on your post notifications. Now, if you're not a regular watcher of NXT, you've been wondering what's been going on, you checked out this video just to see what's happening on NXT, and now all of a sudden you want to catch up, man, that's awesome. Click this link right here and I'll tell you everything you need to know from the past couple of weeks. Well, hey, that is it for me today. Thank you so much for hanging out on Rumble Rewind. We'll see you on the next one.